Hi, and welcome everybody to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. My name is Ross Benjamin, and like every Tuesday afternoon, we're talking NFL with Mr. Paul Bovi and Mr. Chip Chirimbes, two veteran handicappers. All three of us you could find at gamblersworld.net, where we guarantee all our single game and multi-game daily packages, and also subscription plans of 30 days or fewer. If you don't win, you don't make a profit, we credit your account back the exact amount of your purchase price. So, folks, it doesn't get any better than that. But without further ado, from the south of the border, the great country of Mexico, Paul Bovi. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. We had a little episode last week with the hurricane, but we came through with shining colors, and we hit our sixth straight free play winner right here on the site. We gave out the Jets, and we even said to sprinkle it on the money line. And much to the chagrin of a lot of people, New York comes out with the victory. Zach Wilson played well enough to get the win, and we're going to look for number 7 right here today.
Yeah, including the chagrin of our well-esteemed owner, Mr. Jim Quinn. But he is happy, though, because the Philadelphia Phillies continue to win, Chipper.
Yeah.
And I know that you're cruising along with the Major League Baseball playoffs. I know this is an NFL show. But in any event, how are you, my man?
I'm doing just great. I'm feeling so much better now. We're into the meat of the season. Like you said, 20-8 in the Major League Baseball playoffs right now and just streaming along. And we hit our big mega bucks with the New York Jets, an outright winner on Sunday. Sorry about that, Jim. And also we had our primetime winner with Notre Dame on Saturday. So we're moving on all gears right now. Our Pistons are firing off. And I got more installed this week. Game of the year in the NFL. First one this season, Ross. And you know how well we've done with those the past 2 years.
Yeah. When Chip zeroes in on those types of plays, lo and behold, you better pay attention, folks. So you could find his game of the year in the NFL. Game of the year specified on just the game of the year, or is it a division game?
It's a conference game of the year. It can be an AFC East or West. When they come this strong, I really have no control over where they're coming from when they arise, and I just take advantage of it when I see it. And I see a big one this weekend.
Talking to her about Hurricanes, when he has a game of the year selection, it blows the books away. Anyway, Paul, last week, in terms of totals, I know you're a totals player, 12-2-1 to the under. And then Chipper, no more undefeated teams left. You went against one of them, and the other one, the Cleveland Browns, came through against the San Francisco 49ers.
As a matter of fact, we had both winners. We had the Browns as well.
Yeah. Any comments on the totals last week? And, I always say, Paul, and it's not an exact science, but when we see a lopsided margin in totals like we saw last week, buyer beware the next week. Don't think that this kind of trend will continue. I'm not saying to no brain the overs, but usually when we see that type of margin, like we saw last week, 12-2-1 to the under, it at least comes back to a split between the over and unders the following week. Again, the data supports that, but it's not a given as well.
I would agree with you. And the opening numbers this week, as far as totals go, they were low and they came down. I actually looked at a few of them, and totals that I expected to trend upward actually came down 1.5 or so. So I think that now it may be overdone, and I think you'll see a turn in this because, first of all, the NFL does not like lower scoring games. Whenever it gets to this point, they actually want to see the scoring pick up, because I will tell you that the majority of fans want to see scoring. So this is not healthy for the league. So I think you're going to see it turn around a little bit, and this is where you get value. So when you see a total maybe that you feel should be 41 and it's sitting at 39, as professionals, that's what we look for. We look for the numbers and the value in the number, and we go in that direction.
Yeah, and Chip, you look at the 3 games we're covering today, Washington and New York, that's 39.5. Baltimore and Detroit, which is Paul's game 42, and your game, the Browns and Indy, is at 39 right now. All three have come down from the opening number. I know you don't like to play totals, but any commentary on that specific topic?
Well, you know, we're seeing some pretty good defenses coming out there and playing in these games we're talking about. The Giant defense looked, I don't know where that came from against Buffalo the other night. And Cleveland's leading the NFL and only giving up 200 yards a game as it is. And the Ravens, I mean, they hang their hat on their defense more than anything else. So these numbers are and sort of an anomaly, Ross, because we've been seeing them so high. I mean, we're used to 44 and higher. And now when I saw 39 and a half, it actually I took back a little bit. And we're playing a little bit more totals nowadays because when the situation presents itself, Ross, you have to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. And speaking of totals, I know that both of you guys like the totals in your games. So let's get right to them. Baltimore and Detroit. And the game will be played in Baltimore. Right now, the Ravens are a 3-point favorite, and the total's 42. And Paul's going to tell us who he likes in this game. But boy, oh boy, Paul, people better wake up to the fact this Detroit Lions defense, I don't think it gets enough attention. I know that, you know, the whole thing with Detroit and all the hype they got early on, but I don't know if a lot of that hype was according to their defense as much as I think the defense is the major contributing factor to why they're 5-1 right now.
I'm going to agree with you. And the one game that it appeared that they broke down, it wasn't really a complete breakdown. They lost 37-31 to Seattle. It's their only blemish on their record, which is now 5-1. And it was because of 3 turnovers, which included one of 3 interceptions and a pick 6 fired away by Jared Goff. So I think this Detroit team is real. Not only on the offensive side of the ball, but also defensively. And I think this is a test for them. I'm not willing to go against Detroit here. They have, in my opinion, a superior offense to that of the Ravens. The Ravens, let's face it, 300 yards against the Texans, 297, I think it was, against Cleveland, and a 28-3 win, but Robinson threw 3 picks. They did get 400 plus. I think it was the only time they exceeded 400. They came close, I think, on Sunday versus the Bengals, but there was a 52-yard reception in there. Lamar Jackson has had a respectable season. He's thrown, I think, at a rate of 70% in terms of completions. That's pretty good, but 5 touchdowns, 3 picks. And then you go to the other side, and you got Jared Goff, 11-3. With an 8 yards per attempt versus Lamar Jackson, who's, I think, at 7.1. But both sides of the ball, I think you're going to see the defenses step up here. Now, I know I mentioned before, you're looking for value in the total. I actually see some value in the total here because I don't think Baltimore is really capable of scoring more than 20 to 23 points here. And that would be on the high end. He's still throwing quite a bit to his tight end, who's excellent at that, Mark Andrews. The receivers, the wide receivers do get some attention there, and we've seen that. And Odell Beckham has caught a few passes, but a lot of Baltimore's success is by way of Lamar Jackson's running ability. He's still the leading rusher. He's still taking off when he has the opportunity. And I think Detroit is going to be able to contain him at the very least. Now, 42 is a low number, and I don't think it's going to be much under 42, but I'm not willing to go either side here. I like I said, Detroit, very formidable, hitting on all cylinders. Baltimore at home. They have the defense, Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen. Their secondary has really done well this year. They've allowed 127 completions on 203 attempts, 5.4 yards an attempt. That's excellent. So I see this game looking like 19-17 or thereabouts, 20-17. I'm going to go to the low side of the number.
I agree with you. And another underrated aspect of this defense from Detroit is their ability to stop the run. I don't think they've allowed anybody to go over 100 yards rushing this year. And if they did, it was just one time. And you mentioned the Seattle game, and that game also went overtime when they gave up those 37 points. And the other thing with Lamar Jackson, to bring to people's attention, he's only thrown 3 picks, but he's also lost 4 fumbles in the first 6 games of the season. So I'm not a big Lamar guy. I think he's a good quarterback, above average quarterback, but I'm not. I've never been one to say that he's in the elite status with the Patrick Mahomes and the Jalen Hurts and the Josh Allens of the world right now. So again, I get a lot of fight and feedback from people when I say that, but it is what it is. That's my opinion. Chipper, anything you want to add to this matchup?
Yeah, absolutely. I heard all the hype all year about Detroit, and we know how they closed the season last year. And usually when this happens, I personally anticipate fading these teams. But this Detroit has proven to me that they are for real, the way they've come out here and they've played, and they're meeting every expectation and more, absolutely, with their defense as well. I think Paul's got a lot of standings, Paulie, to be able to play under that Detroit offense. But I understand their defense has come on so much this season compared to last, that it's probably a viable play. But Detroit has been a surprise to me on the way they've covered the spread, because I expected to be a lot of action on them, and yet they're managing to get through it and work their way through it. And they're formidable. You're going to have to deal with them before this year's out for sure.
I tell you, I faded him last week, and sorry I did.
Yeah, me too.
Obviously, with Tampa Bay. And again, Tampa Bay is not as good as the record might indicate, but by the same token, Detroit pretty much manhandled them in that game on both sides of the ball. And, the thing is too, Paul, Chipper just said with the Detroit offense, we think of the Detroit offense in past years, and even the first couple of years with Dan Campbell, as being pass happy. But a lot of that pass happiness came from the fact, A, they couldn't run the ball with any kind of effectiveness. B, they were always behind and had to play catch up, so they were one-dimensional. Now they're able to run the ball and stop the run. So, I mean, again, that's the most impressive thing to me with Detroit when I view them this year compared to even last year when they came on strong at the end of the year.
By the way, David Montgomery is going to be out. But Gibbs may return. So there's an issue at running back if they don't get Gibbs back, but they probably will. But the loss of Montgomery is definitely going to hurt somewhat.
Sure. Anyway, all right, Chipper, let's get to your game, and that's the Browns in Indianapolis. The game will be played in the Dome in Indianapolis. Browns coming off their big upset win last week against San Francisco. They're a 2-point favorite. The total is 39. We don't know if Deshaun Watson is going to grace us with his presence. We should be honored if he does, I guess. But anyway, what's your take on this one?
Well, we had Cleveland, as you know, over the Niners last week. They went outright. The outright win was a bit surprising. Missed field goal at the end there. And this Indianapolis team, everyone seemed to gravitate toward them last week because Jacksonville had spent the 2 weeks in England, and Jacksonville came home, and it just seemed like everyone ran after Indy, and Jacksonville handled them easily. Gardner Minshew in that game, Ross, threw 55 passes, 33 of 55, 3 interceptions, 1 TD. Now, the Cleveland quarterback situation, you can't go with Robinson. That rookie out of UCLA, honestly, if he's going to be the Josh Johnson, he's going to be around 15 years and never be a pro football player. He threw over 52%, 19 of 36 with 3 interceptions in the game that he did get his start. So he went with Walker. Walker only threw for 53% as well, 18 of 34 with 2 interceptions. Quarterbacking situation in Cleveland's really bad. They have to run the ball, and they do. And defensively, they stop the run. Only allowing 200 yards a game, 200.4 yards per game, and that's outrageous. 4.1 yards per play overall. They're only giving up 120 yards passing. They've gone under every game except one, and their offense is ranked 31st. Their defense is ranked 1st. And their rating of their quarterbacks is dead last in the league, even lower than Wilson and anything the Giants may throw at you. Indiana is getting Taylor back, and they should be able to look to run the ball a little bit more often. I think his carries have increased each of the times that he's been eligible to play. But I think the Cleveland defense is so strong, and Indianapolis has a way of not converting scoring opportunities. And I think this game stays under the total. The side I may be dealing with it on Sunday at one of my big releases, but Cleveland, like I said, is 1-3-1 to the over, and Indy's gone over 4 of the 6 games they played. But like I said, there are times when they struggle getting the ball in the end zone. So I'm going to play under.
All right. So under 39. The low numbers aren't scaring these gentlemen away, that's for sure. And I can't blame them. They make a compelling case on both in both instances. And you know what? If you put the proverbial gun to my head, I would follow them on the under. I would have a small lean at this juncture in time right now. Again, we're recording on Tuesday. The games aren't till Sunday. But I would have a small lean at this particular moment in time on Indianapolis here. I just, one of those situations, a team coming off a loss versus a team coming off a win. Everybody loved Indianapolis as a dog last week. Cleveland coming off that upset win over the 49ers. I just have that right now. My inner pit of my stomach is saying Indianapolis. But again, we'll see what develops as the week moves on. Anything you want to comment on this game, Paul?
Yeah, well, this is a really tough handicap, obviously, because of Watson. And he finally gave us a taste of greatness in his last game. He went 27 of 33 for 289, and then he hits the shelf with a shoulder injury. So that it's just what does he mean to the spread here? You got to feel he means at least 5 points. So they put out a number here, but it's a number which is going to float one way or the other. And it's an impossible handicap, but I will piggyback on a few of Chip's points. Yeah, Minshew 33 of 55. They Indianapolis weren't as bad defensively as would indicate by giving up 37 points. They only gave up 260 yards. It was all turnovers. Jacksonville had a 75-yard drive to open the game. I think it was like 12 to 15 plays. And then before the half, they had a 69-yard drive. And outside of that, they really didn't move the ball much. It was just those turnovers which created points. Indianapolis actually closed the gap to 31 to 20, and then they just couldn't sustain the rally, and they ended up losing 37 to 20, being basically blown out. So it's a misleading final, and I would have to say it's going to be a lower scoring game. I do believe that to be the case, especially when you look at Cleveland's defense. But of course, if Watson plays, you have to figure they're going to score a few more points here. So it's a tough handicap, but as of right now, I would say, yeah, I would lean to the low side, but that's with a caveat.
If Watson is 100% a go, and we find that out on Thursday, where does this line go? Side and total. I mean, it's at 2 right now with Cleveland being a favorite. Are we talking more than a field goal favorite here with Watson, which I would assume, as Chipper pointed out, the ineptness of the 2 backups for Cleveland, I would assume it would be. Is that a safe assumption?
Well, I would think it goes up, and I'd say somewhere around 3.5 to 4. Okay, now, remember, even though it's only a couple points, you're crossing a key number. So I don't think they're going to make it any more than that. You know, Cleveland is on the road, but you got to figure that at that point, you have to consider them to be the stronger defensive team and the stronger offensive team, and you would have to make them at least 7 points, 6.5 to 7 points better on a neutral field, which would justify 3.5 to 4.
See, now I'm going to sound like I'm not making sense here, but I think Chipper will understand me when I say this. I hope Watson does play, because then I'm getting a better number, and I still like Indianapolis. So, but Chipper, I mean, again, your total is based on a lot of what the Cleveland backups are doing. And again, this is a game that's assigned, what all these games are assigned to us early in the week, right? it doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to be one of our premium picks. So we try to do the best we can with the information we have at that time of the week in the line as it stands right now. And all these lines obviously are subject to change depending on when you view the video. But again, Chip, how much does your opinion change if we find out on Thursday or Friday Watson's a definite go?
To validate Paul's point, first of all, I don't think the number can move from where it is to now over 3.5, because they're really putting themselves in jeopardy crossing that number, that crossing 3. But I don't know, Ross, about what are we supposed to do with these guys?
Is what I said with Watson, if the line goes up to 3.5, I actually hope he does play.
I'd like to play against him anyway. I don't want to play against him.
Yeah, I know that I've heard you make comments like that in the past, and people look at us sideways and say, "What are you guys, nuts?" But again, I sometimes you like the side for just the situation at hand.
Yep.
More so than who's out or who's in kind of thing.
And the Colt intensity should increase if they got word that Watson's going to be out there, and it's a bad situation for us not knowing, and it's a bad situation for the odds maker as well, because this guy is such an impactful player. He's only done it one time since he's been back with Cleveland, where he's actually shown any kind of brilliance like he had in previous seasons. So him coming back, Paul, you may be right on with that number getting up to 5.5 or 6, but still Indianapolis is going to be at home, and I don't see them passing through that 3.5.
Yeah.
I just
no. I didn't say that.
I don't think he said that. He thought it would be 3.5 or 4.
Right.
So
I said 6.5, 7 on a neutral field. And if you allot 3 points for a home field advantage, it's going to take you down to the 3.5, 4.
All right. I miss. What did Roger Clemens say? Misinterpreted, misheard.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on these days. Anyway, let me get to my game, and that's the thriller between the Commanders and the Giants. Oh boy. If you got nothing better to do on Sunday and these are your two teams and you have to watch it, I would suggest making a big pot of coffee, because this might be a snooze fest. Now, having said that, you would think by those comments that I would want to go under the total. Again, a low number, 39.5, and like those two gentlemen did. But I don't know. There's something about this. When is enough? Meaning coming down. And look, this is a Giants team that's lost 4 in a row. They haven't scored a touchdown since their 3rd game of the year against San Francisco. As a matter of fact, the Giants have not scored an offensive touchdown, I should say. They had that 100-plus yard return against Miami. The Giants have now gone 205 minutes and 6 seconds since the last time they scored an offensive touchdown, which was on September 21st at San Francisco in a 30-12 loss. They scored a touchdown with 10:06 to go left in the 3rd quarter, and they haven't done anything since in terms of scoring a touchdown. But we all know, I should say, including you, the viewers, that if you watch a Sunday night game, they got down to the 1-yard line twice against Buffalo, and they couldn't get it in. So, again, I cannot side with a team that's that inept offensively. Washington, look, going to Paul's point with Jacksonville, Washington won 24-16 last week at Atlanta. But, they were outgained in that game, 402 to 193. They were just beneficiaries of a +3 turnover differential. The thing is, though, I still like Washington's got talent on the defensive side of the ball. It hasn't really shown a lot this season. They've pretty much underachieved on that side of the ball so far. They're still 3-3. But against an offense like the Giants, I do think that we're going to see a strong effort on the defensive side of the ball from Washington. And I like Sam Howell. I don't know how you guys feel, but I know he makes some young mistakes still, but he's thrown for 9 touchdowns against 6 picks. But at times, he really has a lot of moxie and swagger to his game that it's infectious. And since 2021, by the way, under Ron Rivera, Washington 7-2 straight up on the road when they're +3 to -3, which right now they're -2. They're also 4-0 with Rivera since 2021 as a road money line favorite, which they are in this case. I'm going to have a very small lean, folks. I'm going to tell you, this is not going to be part of my premium package. Okay, it's a signed game, but I'm going to take the lesser of two evils here, and the Washington Commanders -125 on the money line over the New York Football Giants, which both Paul and Chip at one time were season ticket holders when in their younger days.
I
so
still
Paul,
am. I still am. And if you want to buy my tickets, I'm fielding offers right now. Okay. I don't handle the sale of these tickets. My brother does, and I always tell him, "Hey, sell them before the season starts." But he never heeds my advice, and we always end up eating these for breakfast. So, but anyway, on to the game. I think actually I saw some signs of life in the Giants, and maybe this is my fanhood speaking, but they were moving the football. They played with some spirit. Tyrod Taylor got them down the field, and I think they had Buffalo on their heels. So I think they're going to break through this week. I think they're going to score some points. And Washington does have issues protecting the quarterback. I give Sam Howell a lot of credit because this guy's been on his back plenty this year, and he's been hit I don't know how many times. But I actually think you're going to see some scoring here. I think they'll get Tyrod Taylor out of the pocket, and they just signed a left tackle, which they sorely needed. They brought this guy, he said, off the couch as they were introducing him before during the game. They signed Pugh to left tackle. He was supposed to play like a few plays. He ended up playing 77. So apparently they got some productivity out of him, and I think the OL, if they get any kind of improvement, they're going to score some points here. So I'm not willing to back you on this one. I think it's going to be a back and forth game, and I think the total's just too low, and I'm going to look for something like 23-20 either way, and hopefully, and for my sake, for the ability to sell the rest of my tickets, maybe gain some interest, and just because I'm a Giant fan, I'd like to see him win the game.
This game is a Pew, okay? So at any event, Tyrod Taylor, same things I see from him. I saw from him last week. Same thing I've been witnessing for years. Being in Western New York and him being the Bills quarterback for a few years. Same thing. Undersized quarterback. Throws great outside the numbers, as we saw last week. The two vertical throws he made toward the sidelines were right on the money. But you can eliminate the middle of the field with him. He just can't see over the line. He doesn't throw anything, doesn't use the middle of the field whatsoever. And he becomes easy to defend as a result. So I think if the Giants have a chance in this game, it's going to be set up through play action pass. We saw Saquon Barkley go for 90-plus yards last week in his return. They're going to need him to have a monster game. And fair enough, Paul. Like I said, this isn't one of my premium plays. I just have a tough time backing a team who hasn't scored an offensive touchdown since Chip moved from Florida to Las Vegas. When was the last time you did that? Anyway, Chipper, your thoughts?
My thoughts are the Giant offense is so much different when Saquon Barkley is out there. My goodness, he's electric. Yeah. He can run with the ball. He creates offense. And then what else do they have? I mean, like you said, Taylor lets you down, and Jones has either been taking sacks or fumbles and making errant plays. But I think Barkley adds a lot to the Giant offense. He really does. You can see it. And it sort of takes pressure off the linemen as well. And I think the Giants may score this week. I really do. I don't know how you can say that after what we've just seen. I mean, we're looking for one touchdown out of them, right? I mean, how about one touchdown in the first half?
They played well enough to win last week, and they should have won. I mean, Tyrod Taylor, that's another one of his check into a run with 6 seconds to go from the 1 yard line with no timeouts was just
how do they run that play? How do they run that play where they give up
and
on
then
scoring?
then you got 1st and goal at the 1, and you got an untimed down, and you got a running back like Barkley that's had a good game, and you decide to pass. Now, having said that, I thought the final play of the game with Waller, I thought that was more interference than the play before they did call interference on.
I was surprised, Ross.
I didn't think so.
I'm sorry. I thought they were going to run the ball. I really did. When they lined up, and I know how well Barkley was hitting the hole and how quick and strong. And I was surprised, though it wasn't that bad a call. I don't think, like you said, the interference, the holding on the receiver probably.
I thought that was an easy touchdown. I thought it wasn't a bad call, but
I thought they were going to run it.
Yeah, I would go. If I'm going to lose, I'm going to go down with Barkley. You didn't think that was an interference, huh, Paul? The last play.
I will say this, okay. What has happened in the NFL in the last couple of years, it has changed. They allow a lot more hand fighting.
Yeah.
So I think in the prior play where they called the interference, it was impossible not to call it. I mean, he literally wrapped him up. In this case, he was more tugging at his arm. And there was a play in the game last night where you saw the guy actually grabbed his arm before the ball got there. But it wasn't a full-out grab. It was more like a tug, and they let that stuff go. So what I saw on the last play of the game was a guy who had his back turned that kind of tugged at his arm, and it just wasn't clear-cut. And let's face it, there's a code amongst referees, NBA, NFL. You kind of put the whistle in your pocket on the last play of the game unless it's very flagrant. Now, if you're expecting that call on the road, the last play of the game, you're going to be sorely disappointed. Now, in my case, I will tell you, I'm still live in circa Survivor, and I used the Bills. I would have made more money if the Giants would have scored that. I would have made a decent amount of money because I had over 25.5 live and Bills team total under. So it was correlated and it would have both worked. And instead, I canceled them out. But I'm happy to have the Survivor and fight another week. So that's the way I looked at it. And, everybody has their opinion.
Yeah. To what I saw and what is, and again, it's opinion. Okay. And you're right, Paul. If you're expecting that call, the referee who was the video referee, who was the guest referee on the telecast, I can't remember who it was, but he vehemently thought it was pass interference. He thought that was a blown call. And I could see why. I just think he impeded his ability to get to the back of the end zone like he wanted to. And it was more of a tug than tying up his arm that prevented him from getting to the throw was intended to go right to the back of the end zone. And he wasn't able to get there, and you could see again, I'm glad it didn't happen for obvious reasons, right? So, because I am a Bills fan. But look, that was a game I think the Giants played well enough and deserved to win, and the Bills played down to the competition and should have been taught a lesson there, but it didn't occur that way, and we move on. Anyway, to rehash our selections here, I like Washington minus 125 over the Giants on the money line. Paulie likes Baltimore, Detroit to go under 42. He's shooting for 7 free pick winners in a row on our show. Chip Chirimbes likes the Browns and the Indianapolis Colts to go under 39.5. Yeah. And it's time for us to tell the folks exactly why they should spend some money with us over at gamblersworld.net. By the way, Gamblers World is our sponsor, and our YouTube channel here is the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel, all owned by the same company. And if you have not subscribed to our channel, folks, take a second to do so. It's absolutely the best sports betting podcast on the internet today. I say that with the utmost confidence. I say that because I have some of the greatest guests, in the sports betting industry on this show. And we bring it. And it's a different format. We're just not spewing out free pick winners. We're talking about sports betting. We're trying to make you a smarter sports bettor today than you were yesterday. That's our goal, above and beyond these free picks. So if you have not subscribed, you'll see a WC logo in the bottom right-hand corner of your video box. If you're watching on your PC, just click on that. And if you're watching on your smart TV or you're watching on your mobile device, you'll see a black subscribe button right underneath your video box. Click on that. And it's absolutely free to do so. There's no strings attached. There's no hidden agenda. And I'm going to ask you to take one step further. This goes for all of you who have subscribed already, which we deeply appreciate. If you have not gone into your YouTube settings yet, and this goes for your new subscribers as well, go into the YouTube settings and you'll see a notification alert bell there. Click on that, please, for the Winner's Circle Sports Betting channel. You'll be notified immediately upon any of our sports betting podcasts being released here on our channel. All right, Paul, tell the folks why they should pay some handicapper in Mexico good money, the money that they work very hard to earn, and have confidence in the fact that over the long haul, you're going to make them some money, because it's okay to buy Paul's pick on a Sunday once in a while, but the true test for handicappers of our caliber is what we do over the long haul for you. So I remind you folks, you can get Paul's $99 3-day subscription, 7-day for $199, $4.99 for 30-day, and all of that is guaranteed. If you don't make a profit, we will we will credit your exact amount of your purchase price to your account for future purchases. So having said all that, without getting any more long-winded than I already have, Paul, tell the folks exactly why.
The one thing you should understand is that everybody should understand is that when I give out these games, whatever game I post, whatever game I give out, I'm betting these games. I'm not betting them lightly. I'm generally betting them heavily. I have a vested interest in your success. I do this more to keep myself sharp. It's my main goal is not financial. It's to kind of spread the wealth. I like to do this. I enjoy it. I do it for the enjoyment. So when you buy a pick that I post, and I will have at least 4 or 5 NFL picks this week, and you have the free play, and again, 6-0 coming into this week, rest assured, I will be betting all of these games. Sometimes I put the copy of the ticket in there, and I step on these games sometimes quite hard. So that's why you should ride my coattails, and in the long run, I win.
So, here's the thing, folks. He's putting up his tickets. I mean, I've seen as much as a $5,000 ticket on our site that he's put up. It's his ticket. And we're just asking you to spend $499 for a month on a guy who's playing anywhere from 2 to as much as 10 times a game. It's a real live wise guy you have right here. Why wouldn't you spend that little bit of money, invest that money? Like Paul says, he's trying to spread the wealth with you. And although he does this to keep himself sharp, and he enjoys doing this, you know what Mr. Jim Quinn, the owner, enjoys? When they buy picks from us. So we're one of the best handicapping crews you find anywhere on the internet, including Mr. Chirimbes, who is appearing on the leaderboards. It's been a long time, and I'm so glad. That only means you watch out for the next couple months, folks. Chipper, tell them.
Well, I had a really patchy September. If you remember, it started out fine, and then things were in and out, and the games have really started to come together now. Not only in Major League Baseball, 20-8 in the playoffs, and you remember the Thursday, Sunday, and Monday night games still at 67%, Ross, a 9-5-1 on the year. With that, had the big winner this past Monday, and of course, now is the time for my conference games of the year in the NFL. Last year, I documented 9-1, and the year before, 2021, with you, 9-0 for the season. So this is the first release a little bit later this year because things were so sketchy at the beginning of the season. But right now we're seeing it. It's all coming to us all at once. And I'm really looking forward to this Saturday and Sunday. Our primetime game, Notre Dame, was a big winner, and we really have things rolling right now, both on Saturday and Sunday. And don't miss out on baseball either. So it's an everyday affair with us, and it's the best time of the year. I mean, the leaves are changing, and it just feels great. Football's out there, and I'm rooting every day.
Yeah, and don't forget about the Major League Baseball playoffs, which Chip has done extremely well, not only during the postseason, but he's done so during the regular season, and has done so for many years now in Major League Baseball. There's money to be had there, folks. Big games are for big-time handicappers, and all three of us fit that category. I've been accused of bragging too much. I've been accused of coming across as a used car salesman. Here's the end of it. Here's the thing, folks. As opposed to the guys back in the 90s and 80s, which Chip is well aware of, there was plenty of them out there, and we know one very well, as a matter of fact, that we both had a relationship with at one time that ended quite abruptly. But when I brag, and when we brag in this millennium, in 2023, there's all kinds of checks and balances.
Yeah.
So if I say I'm this is my record here, this is my record there, this is my record in this specific sport, goes for all three of us. Guaranteed, folks. We're not only documented at gamblersworld.net, we're documented at several sites that we post on. So as opposed to those guys that were you're not a used car salesman if you can back up what you're saying to be true. Used car salesmen are guys that aren't very good at what they do and have to use alternative methods that are unethical and lack integrity. That's not the case here. Okay? So let me tell you what I'm doing. All right? Since August the 4th, how about 106 and 68 in all sports? That's 61% over more than 2 months. Since September the 12th, 58 and 32 in all sports. That's 64%. Major League Baseball, 3-0 with my last three in the postseason, 52 and 32 since August the 4th. That's 62%. And folks, I do not give out big favorites. Okay, so your ROI is going to be very good. All right. College football, bad week last week. I went 4-6, but 24 and 11 since September 14th. And then if you go back to December 2nd of last year, as documented by Sports Capping, one of the sites that I'm on, I can't go back to December 2nd of last year on Gamblers World because we didn't exist then. But 46 and 25, 65% with my last 71 college football picks. All right. And then a combined 40 and 21 in college football and the NFL since September 14th. That's 66%. And again, all the records you see on the leaderboards at Gamblers World and the records we give out here on this channel, Paul's picks that he puts up his tickets on, that he's putting 4 figures on each game, they're all documented. So again, folks, gamblersworld.net is where you could find all of us. We would highly suggest you invest into a subscription plan and give us a chance long haul to make you money. And it's still going to be guaranteed. If you don't win, you don't make a profit, you will get your money credited back to your account. So, and the other thing is there's a like button. Chip, what do you want him to do with the like button for this video? What would make your heart feel better?
You got to hit that like button. I mean, here's Paulie giving you a winner every single week. He's unblemished. Yeah. You're sitting here since August 2nd doing nothing but pounding winners out. And I have my big game on the weekend. So I think they should just push the like button and then subscribe.
Yeah, and that like button, folks, all it does is it's if you go to a restaurant and you get good service and they give you good food, you give them a tip. If you go to a bar and your bartender's nice to you and listens to all your dilemmas you have in life for 3 hours, like Chip does on occasion, and then Chip gives him a big tip, all we're asking is hit the like button.
The Patriots took a safety on the last play of the game. No.
Yeah, there you go.
That was something.
Again, just hit that like button as a small token of your appreciation for the time, work, and effort and research we do to give you a quality product on this podcast, on this channel, and to make you a smarter sports bettor today than yesterday. For Paul Bovi, Chip Chirimbes, and Ross Benjamin, take care and God bless, folks.